Come see us doing live shows. We'll be in Los Angeles, Honolulu, Baltimore, Atlantic City, Cohoes, New York, Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and only jimmydore.com. So let's get to your Substack, right? So you wrote this Substack, MAGA, please, thank you, but MAGA, I don't know.
Make the dollar great again.
Oh, okay. Make the dollar great again. That's what
I was trying to be creative, Jimmy.
Oh, I'm too dumb to understand. Of course, now after you explain it,
well, you witnessed that whoever that guy was,
Paul, Jared Bernstein,
scrambled your brain for a minute.
Yeah, you know what I say to that? You know what I say to that guy?
You're fired. Get out of here. You're fired.
Okay. So here, let me give a little bit. I have a couple paragraphs from your Substack. And it says, if you think the financial experts are optimistic, think again. A recent survey from the CFA Institute found that 77% of investment analysts believe U.S. finances are on an unsustainable path. Over 60% say the U.S. lacks the political will to fix it. And almost 2/3 thinks we'll lose our reserve currency status within 15 years. That's what we've been talking about on the show with you and other people about BRICS and all these other economic power centers that are now forming to oppose the United States being the reserve currency. One potential solution, instead of focusing solely on drastic spending cuts or tax hikes, we could prioritize economic growth along with gut-wrenching cuts. Before any situation would exist on retarding the $35 trillion in debt, it would have to stop being added to. And that, dear readers, a Trump victory will absolutely restore sound and proven infrastructure back in the life systems Americans require for pursuing happiness. But I write this so no one lays back and awaits the grand revival that includes fixing the massive black hole in our financial structure. Why must the government spend? What is the source? That is how, whether you are 9 or 90, we can learn what the hell the problem sources from. Once we know that, then we know the truth. The black hole is this. Now, truly visualize this. You own a farm, a 10 million acre farm with 1 million workers from back in 1960. In 1997, you were just referring to this earlier. In 1997, 300,000 workers retired. They quit producing, and you must build them cottages to live in on the farm and pay them a little something so they aren't eating Alpo on the sidewalks. You now have a reality very different from how it all started. When Social Security was invented, there were 44 workers for every retiree. Today, there are 3 workers. Get it? The farm cannot function profitably anymore, so you borrow. You owe $4 trillion in the year 2000. Today, you owe $35 trillion. But damn it, when you borrowed it, it was from our financial future. Your debt isn't debt, it is death. You printed money, which kills the money already in existence. Regarding the potency of the dollar, it'd be like having a party and the bottles of booze that still have some in it, you add water to and fill it back up to full for your next party. Eventually, that's not booze, it's just dirty water. Our dollar's worth is 3 cents when it used to be worth 100. This has been the policy of all our government, all the presidents, and it will continue as it must, or it all stops. The whole damn show in America living would stop. Mathematically speaking, anyway, friggin' math. It does not bend, it breaks. And so the last paragraph I'll show you is, to fully restore America, one would have to restore its currency to wholeness. Can the dollar be made great again? If not, all that effort toward restoration of life systems happening within our dying dollar will not be the fundamental at the soil level change needed for real change to then spring forth. So explain exactly what you mean by that. So we need to restore the currency to our wholeness, but you don't think what Elon Musk and Doge and Trump are actually, do you think that will restore the dollar to wholeness, or it won't?
No, it was a little tongue in cheek. It's so let's say the government budget, $7 trillion. Let's say that's 100 gallons of diesel, and that's how much we need to get from January to December. And next January, you fill up the tank with 90 gallons. You can't get to December. You're going to be pushing. So the economy has to have every dollar it's printed, or you can't experience the economy like you do today. And most of our fellow American brothers and sisters are experiencing the hell of our economy. You just don't hear from them unless you go into a small town and ask people when they're shopping for groceries what they think about, their groceries and for the week, and do they have to really get, tighten their belts and pick and choose? Are they eating a lot of ramen? Most of the country's that way. But most of the interesting people that make their way onto a camera or in front of a microphone aren't living that way. And so we don't really hear what they're like. George Clooney, is he struggling?
Right.
Does he even know where grocery store is, right?
Right.
And so when you're saying, what can a president Elon Musk do? They can cut spending, but that means the economy goes without money it is dependent on. It's like asking a heroin addict to just go with 3 shots a day instead of 4. If he doesn't get the 4th shot, he's going into Tourette's. He's going into shock. He's going into, delirium tremors. Can't function without the juice. So the real approach is to say, we need to tighten our belts. We aren't going to spend. We are going to be in a world of hurt, but the rest of the world will hurt too. So if you're thinking, oh, well, if we don't spend $1 trillion on the military every year, we're going to get attacked. No, because we'll put China in ashes the minute we don't have all of our stuff there. And I'm not saying it could be easy. This problem has been growing for, a good 24 years, hardcore, since the turn of the century. So America is about people. It's about all different kinds of people, all immigrants of all different colors and races and creeds and belief systems and all different intellects and choice-making capabilities. And that's what makes America great already. America's already great because of the people that live here with all their diversity and things they want to argue about. That's what makes this country great. Make the dollar great, then we get our country back as what it used to be, where we then get to pursue happiness, because that was the main design of this democracy. This land was where we didn't have to live under a monarchy or stupid people with all their greed screwing up life for the rest of us. And that is not possible, because you can't get the government to send a budget to Trump for $5 trillion. They're not going to do it. And if Trump won't sign a budget, then the government gets to do continuing resolution, which was most of the years Obama was president. The Congress, after the first 2 years of Dems in the White House or the Senate and the House, they would send in budgets he wouldn't sign. So Congress just got the same amount of money with a slight uptick the next year. I don't know how you kill this beast. It can't happen from within. A bankruptcy is what you ought to be praying for.
So, I mean, I'm still, so you're saying that if we do cut spending, then that will hurt the economy. It's like giving a heroin addict one less hit that day. So you're saying, but we need to do that? We need to spend less, so we're going to have to feel. Go ahead.
Because if the currency dies, to me, I'm not a trained economist, and I'm not a financial advisor. I've just done a lot of research, hoping that I'm explaining things correctly as I've built my 30s and 40s career into talking about precious metals and trying to find credibility for people's concerns that are already thinking they should protect their savings. If you lose the dollar, you lose the wealth. You lose the debt too. So if we threw the dollar away, things are connected, right? If you throw the debt away, the 35 trillion, and you throw the dollar away, you also throw the wealth away. So someone sitting there with $10 million in net worth, that's dollars, $10 million, a 3-penny dollar. If we make the currency great again, then the wealth slides on a sliding scale. But you get to preserve the componentry of the financial world. If we switch to some Bitcoin currency, we switch to some cryptocurrency or a basket of stuff that, Trump's proposing, one that's never been done before. One, the cryptocurrency is not tested, tried and true, like, gold and silver would be, or hard work, or, earning your way through life. That's proven. You can't bring the wealth forward, because then the debt has to come with it. So there's no way out of this but cuts, drastic cuts. Americans, the dynamic nature of the American human being, will solve problems locally. They will band together. They will come together and figure it out on Main Street, and in the towns and the cities and the counties and the states. Power needs to come back to the states. And the only way that happens is with the government, the central government, getting out of your way.
So my theory is we're in, like you say, we're in a pickle, right? We're in a real pickle. There's no easy way out of this. But here's again, and I'm also not an economist, but my theory is that if instead of spending money on a bomb, right, which we've exploded, I remember when the military budget was $200 billion a year and people were calling to cut it then. Now it's almost $1 trillion a year. During Trump, they said Trump was in the pocket of Putin, and they gave him an extra $132 billion to do war with. And so that's how you knew that Russiagate was always a lie. And because they kept giving that guy, they gave him an extra $132 billion during his presidency. That's just not for 1 year. That's every year in perpetuity. It never goes back down. Nope. So now it's up to, it's almost $900 billion a year. So let's just say it's $1 trillion a year. So if we cut that in half, instead of spending $500 billion on war in Ukraine or with Taiwan and Gaza and Syria and Libya, and we built like high-speed rail, like when Eisenhower built the highway system, right? He did that as a Defense Department project. And what was the effect of that? The effect of that was that it built our economy, because now people can transmit goods and services lots easier. People could travel, spend money. It was a big boon to our economy, but he had to sell it as a defense project. That was the way we're going to move our missiles around, right? But it turned out to be a great economic investment. So we spend that. So when we spend that $500 trillion on bombs, they don't give us anything back. We get nothing back for that. But if we spend $500 trillion on infrastructure, on stuff like this, for instance, high-speed rail, like that, all the developing countries are getting except us. If we did that, that would grow our economy, and then we could grow our way out of this a little easier. And so, but now we're not going to do that. They're not going to. I'm telling you, Elon Musk is not going to cut defense spending because he gets defense spending dollars. So I think I don't see a way out of this, which is why I put my money in gold. I think we're heading for a crash. By the way, Ed Dowd. Oh, I should have him on with you.
I would love that sometime.
Yes. So Ed Dowd, I just saw him on a pod, and I'm friends with him, and he's a very smart guy about everything financial, and he's predicting a big crash financially right now. He's predicting it, and he was saying that it's going to come. He's saying it's better that Trump is president than Biden because it's coming. But anyway, so I think if we did that, we could at least grow our economy. What do you say to that?
So the we thing can't happen anymore. That's the thing. It can't be the we government that decides to spend money on projects. And when you're referencing Eisenhower, that we were still on the gold standard, right? So we were still living within our means. The government was still mostly right-sized. And if they wanted to spend money on something, they had to shave money from other budgets or raise taxes a little or create some tax. They had to punish the economy a little bit to get the money, because they don't really produce revenue. The states can. The states can say, here's our problems. We're not going to take any more American dollars. We're going to turn this over to the companies. We're going to invite, and I know companies get a lot of bad stigma put to them as greedsters and profiteers and whatnot, but the problem solvers. That's the problem solving center of your economy. And every single sale is a solution to a problem. And the states can know their problems better than the government does. But everyone's living off that juice that comes from the government, and they have a very specific elixir. It's the kind that you can make out of thin air, and everyone's drunk on that. But the minute, if states were to say, we're not taking any more federal money, we're kind of going to treat things here as best we can. If you mess with us, we got our own National Guard. We'll see what happens on the streets. We are going to have committees with government officials to facilitate the conversation about the issues so that companies could then say, well, could a retiree, work a phone a few hours a day and do customer service work? Could we keep that job from going to India and Pakistan and bring it home? I know you may not want to do that, but it would help because you would still be producing revenue here. States could start to formulate ways that they actually make money, make their own money. It's possible. You just have to get the cohesive tissue reformed, restored, which is government is a facilitator of the issues toward the solution. They're never the provider of the solution. That's what we're looking at now. When the baby boomers retired, the biggest problem we were ever going to face as a society, government printed money. They dealt with a real problem with artificial means. The inventiveness of America, the people that live here. Ronald Reagan said something like, it's unbelievable what the human spirit is capable of when you take off all the limits and restrictions. And that might scare the hell out of a lot of people. Well, the people that aren't equipped to be dynamic will get run over and left behind. No, because someone loves them. Someone loves them that's connected to someone who works somewhere that can solve the problems of our country state by state by state. And that's what I believe in.
Okay. We're going to find out if the country has any solutions. I feel like we're going to find out soon. You know, we talked about this before, how who's the guy, Hathaway, who's the billionaire from Omaha? What's his name?
Warren Buffett.
Yeah, he's taken huge amounts of money out of the market, so he has all this cash on hand.
What's he waiting for?
Which makes me think that he sees there's going to be a fire sale pretty soon, and he wants to have as much cash on hand as he can to buy stuff up when everything crashes. And if anybody knows about stuff, it's that guy. So and then Ed Dowd said the same thing. Its crash is coming. So
it's a mathematical crash. It's not theoretical. When this money printing obscuring of our true financial pain can't work anymore, this will be the 11th recession, maybe second depression, probably, in our nation's history just since World War II. We've grown so silly, and it cut like that idiot that you had on earlier. We've grown so accustomed to thinking all we have in the financial world is spring and summer, spring and summer, spring and summer. No. There's a fall and a winter. On average, it would come by every 7 years. When the Fed intervenes and tries to prevent it from coming through, it might, from 2008, it might not be till 2030. It might be 2028 when it happens. Here's the last visual. It's not debt. I wrote about this once before. It's not, because Jimmy, if I borrowed $1,000 from you, you'd eyeball me kind of funny and go, all right, can you pay me back? Okay, when are you going to pay me back? What are the terms? And then you'd say, all right, when you loan me that $1,000, it's debt between us, but it's your property. You loaned me your property, financial property. You loaned it to me, and I got to give it back to you, just like if I borrowed your weed whacker one day. No one's paying back $35 trillion. So let's stop calling it debt. I've said this before. What it really is the government's action stealing America could have run pretty cool for maybe 500, 600, 700, 800 years. Who knows? They're stealing money from the year 3000 and bringing it into 1970. They're bringing money from the year 2900 and bringing it into 1972. Eventually, you're bringing dollars from 2028 into 2026. And then you don't have anything left to steal from when you're in 2027. Those aren't annual calendar predictions. That's just a visual. So you're literally running out of the dollar as a resource to provide you with commercial activity. One day, yes, the government can keep printing money, and it could spend $2 trillion on the military. It could pay, new enlistees $200,000 a year to join the army. I don't know what that $200,000 would buy you out here in the country land where we have to eat. We have to eat. Just let that sink in. We have to afford food. Food travels around 1,200 miles from wherever it comes from to your Uber Eats or your grocery store or your local restaurant. So all of that dependency is on the ability for the population to even afford to eat. If they can't, everything breaks. And that's where the government clearly gets out of your way. That visual of stealing the future value of our dollars, sanctity. This is like ruining your shot at going to heaven. Like they're canceling seats in heaven. Our lifespan, our country's entire lifespan, the pursuit of happiness, they've been destroying that. Eventually those years meet, and there's no future to borrow from or steal from. It's not debt, it's theft.
And all I know is that, we went through some big inflation recently, and even though the official inflation numbers are down, those prices didn't come down. Those prices went up, and then they just stopped going up. That didn't come back down. So that's when people, that's when Biden and Harris tried to say, oh, but inflation's down. No, prices didn't come down. People are still unable to afford the things they need. Senior citizens are still cutting their pills in half. And so that they're not really, they didn't address the problem. But, and if we do money printing, it'll that is what causes the inflation. That is it. And everybody agrees on that. Nobody doesn't agree on that. Everybody knows that money printing by the government causes inflation. Everybody from the MMT people, the modern monetary theories, and the Stephanie Keltons to Elon Musk, everybody agrees that the money printing causes inflation, and nobody likes inflation. So, and that's
the source of the money printing is that farm example that I gave, where your farm isn't profitable, so you take on debt. But the government doesn't really take on debt; it borrows. And when they take on, they sell debt on Mondays to the big investment firms. Maybe it's 50 billion, 100 billion, 25 billion each Monday. You could read about it. Again, I'm not giving anyone financial advice. But then they also print. I mean, there's so many different ways they create debt. The government creates its own debt. The Treasury is financing its debt by selling more debt. That keeps a lot of the investment wheels turning. It's like the president from the South American country that said the only reason they still tax you is so you still think things are normal.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's an illusion. And your money, your savings, your wealth is in dollars. It could be in the euro. It could be in the Canadian dollar. It could be in gold and silver. It could be some crypto. But most people, 60 and up, have their savings in the dollar. The dollar is what's dying. When it dies, everything you think you're worth goes with it. That's just math trying to, wake people up. That's just the math story. Doesn't bend, it breaks.
Okay. Well, everybody check out Paul's Substack at thepaulstone.substack.com. Time goes by fast. Look, we've been talking for 40 minutes already. It's great to talk to you, great to see you, and hopefully we're going to be down. We'll have a tour down there in Florida, and we'll be able to see you soon.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. And have a happy Thanksgiving. And everyone who's listening that's struggling, do the best you can. No family's the most important. Luxury food items, it's nice to have, but those family connections, and don't throw your family members away over politics.
Oh,
don't do that.
You see articles.
You guys need to band together.
I'm with you. Yeah, I know that I was just talking to Steph today about an article that says you don't have to have people over to your Thanksgiving in your family if they didn't vote the way you want. Like, what is going on? Yeah. Like this is called the election. Go ahead.
Because with this election, you had to choose someone. There were two choices. Someone who couldn't literally. I'd love to have new opinions, maybe a non-business mind that's just really wise, who doesn't have the eyeglasses they look through. Everything could be a profit and cut costs. I'd love to have more of a theorist, a wise theorist, a leader, a spiritual leader, an animal warrior in the White House that really gets what the people are about and where they're suffering. But Kamala did not possess that. Yeah. She couldn't explain her way out of a paper bag. So the other option was the person who's running around every day of the week having a rally somewhere. He put in the work. He showed that in the world of physics, if you put in the work, you more oftentimes get what you were working for. And she hired celebrity spokespeople. Jeez. So someone had to be elected. Whether you're for Trump, against Trump, be for America. Be for improving America where your feet are. And this holiday season, be grateful you still have a heart beating in your chest. Help others. Be kind to others. That's really what makes America great. And this is the season to enter into where you don't want to forget that.
And don't let them divide and conquer, because that's all that is. When you see articles like that, that's them trying to divide and conquer. We just did a whole segment on DEI. That's all about divide and conquer. And so come together. That's the only thing that the establishment fears. So make sure you come together. Stop letting politics separate people. Your neighbor's not your enemy. You have a shared common enemy. Okay, Paul Stone, I appreciate it. Great to talk to you, buddy. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Jimmy. God bless you and everyone listening. Thanks for having me again.
You too. Our sponsor, Colonial Metals Group, helped me with my goals of protecting my financial future Being at the whim of the stock market or the current administration does not make me feel safe or secure, but having a self-directed IRA where I can safely store gold and silver assets that have stood the test of time, no matter what the economy or the government policies are, that makes sense to me. Colonial Metals Group has helped me create a self-directed IRA where I can have direct access to my assets. Let the team of experts at Colonial Metals Group help you protect your family's future. Their level of professionalism and ability to listen make it easy for you to learn everything you need to know about preserving all you've worked for. Maybe you're just getting started, or maybe you're already in a 401k or an IRA, or you're thinking about your parents' retirement. Regardless, Colonial Metals Group can help. We put together a special offer for our audience. Click now on the link in the description below or call our special 800 number. You can receive a safe and up to $7,500 in free silver. So go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/Jimmy-Dore-show or call 888-910-1419. That's colonialmetalsgroup.com/Jimmy-Dore-show or 888-910-1419. Come see us doing live shows. We'll be in Los Angeles, Honolulu, Baltimore, Atlantic City, Cohoes, New York, Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and only jimmydore.com.